If you've followed me for a while, you'll have noticed that I hardly ever talk about the health risks of drinking alcohol. And that is a very deliberate decision. Because I'm a coach, I know that going on and on about the health dangers just isn't what motivates people to change. In fact, if anything, it can sometimes do the opposite. Because if stuff is too alarming or too scary, people shut down. Like they reject or downplay what they're hearing as a way of kind of like protecting themselves. They find some way to disassociate and reject what they're being told. In fact, I noticed this happen exactly last week when I shared this article on my social media. So it's written by a journalist who was a social drinker and said that she didn't drink every day, she wasn't alcohol dependent, and she didn't ever drink alone. And yet, look what happened. She's also made a documentary about her experience, which I'm going to link to below in case you're interested and want to find out more. So I shared this article because I thought it was so interesting, but predictably, some people messaged me to say that the headline alone made them feel anxious. And in fact, a past client of mine who's like long stopped drinking messaged me to say that she bet people who need to read this won't, because she remembers avoiding articles like that herself. And yeah, it got me thinking that I totally get that. I was like that too. Like back when I was drinking, I really did not want to know this stuff. But my hope today is that you might allow me to draw your attention to just one thing, if I may. I'm not going to bombard you with stats and facts and loads of scary stuff. But there is one thing in this article and the documentary that I think you might not be aware of, and it's actually really important to know because it's important to be informed. And it's about binge drinking. Now, when I say binge drinking, you probably think of someone on a night out, staggering out of a bar or a pub after like drinking all evening. I mean, culturally, that's what it tends to mean, right? And I have done plenty of that in my past, that kind of drinking. However, the official definition of a binge for a woman, according to the World Health Organization, is having 6 units of alcohol in one setting. That's it, just 6 units. And 6 units is the equivalent of 2 large glasses of wine. That is what counts as a binge. So why does this matter? Because binge drinking on its own will increase your risk of liver disease. So if you have a pattern of binge drinking 2 large glasses of wine at least once a week, your risk of liver cirrhosis increases 2 or 3-fold. And the risk goes up even more if you drink more than that. So this conversation is specifically about binge drinking, because binge drinking those 2 large glasses of wine is more damaging than drinking the same amount over a long period or a longer period. And I wanted to draw your attention to that because I know that when I was drinking, I could easily drink more than what's defined as a binge, both on a night out and when I was drinking at home alone. But if you'd asked me back then, oh, Kate, are you a binge drinker? I would have paused and said, well, yeah, maybe sometimes. I suppose I am when I'm out with friends. But I never stopped to consider that coming home from work and drinking 2/3 of a bottle of wine to decompress and cope with my day, I didn't think that was also binge drinking. That didn't feel like binge drinking to me. That felt like normal life, just coping with life stress and day-to-day stuff. Like back then, I did not know that binge drinking was as harmful as it is, and that it took so little alcohol to qualify as a binge. And it makes me mad nowadays to think about all the wine o'clock messaging, the mummy needs wine stuff. the way alcohol has been promoted as self-care, as a way of coping, as stress relief. You can see it's created this whole culture of drinking that means most women are binge drinking every time they consume alcohol without even realizing it. That way of drinking has been totally normalised. And now we are seeing the fallout from that. And I've been talking about some of this marketing crap and all the nonsense that goes on at the Sober School for years, but I don't always talk about binge drinking. So I want to finish by making 2 points. First of all, if you have been struggling to moderate your drinking and you frequently find yourself binging, i.e. having 2 large glasses of wine in one go, then I really hope you'll stop and reflect on this. Go check out the article, think about this, don't tune it out, and go and see your doctor if you're worried. Second, if you do explore that BBC article or watch the documentary, and I will link to both below, then you are going to see there is a happy ending for the journalist who prompted all of this. She was extremely lucky that her liver damage was picked up in time for her to try and do something about it. She completely stopped drinking, and in the documentary, we see that her most recent scan shows her liver is back to normal and in the healthy range. So cutting out alcohol made a dramatic difference in a really short space of time. And I was so pleased to hear that for her. So yeah, a bit of a different blog for you this week, but I thought this was such an important issue to raise. I really wanted to talk about it here and bring it to your attention. So that's all I've got for you. Take care.